I am note to the video editor, Ryan. Cut the video here as if we actually watch the rest of it go down. And yeah, now that we're in the next part, we're just fucking going to the tracking station. No, I don't. Can't I just abandon the spacecraft? God damn it. Seriously? Okay, actually, you know what? Yeah, leave anyway. It was a minute ago. Who cares? Okay, so back at the Space Center, you can see all this debris left at the launch pad. It's kind of annoying. Those would be our launch clamps. And if we go to space, ignore that. We can click on Untitled Spacecraft. And why? Oh, I see. We have ended up back here for some reason. Cool. All right, RCS. We're gonna have to ullage this again, which is kind of nifty. Actually, no, we're not. Why is? Yeah, we don't have any fuel. Why is it here? Anyway, so we can now separate this stage. Very cool. Since we're in space, we can accelerate time quite quickly and we can just watch it drift away. Oh god, do I not have avionics to fly this part again? Oh my gosh. That is quite bad, actually. I might have to fly the entire mission over again if I am not allowed to control things. So here, 30 seconds before. Okay, no, we do get our controls back, I think. Are these thrusters enabled? I guess not. So we're going to make a new stage to enable these thrusters. Yet another thing that needs to get fixed. And no, they are still not going to fire. All right. Interesting. All right, but anyway, we're just going to look at this. We are going to, now that we're approaching apogee, we're going to hit the ullage motors and then kick off the main engine. Since that settled our fuel so that it actually had a good chance of igniting. And it very slowly spools up, but it does in fact spool up. We can now bring this on course. That tells us that we are getting close to orbit. I did not mean to do that. That is a waste of an ignition, but I'm pretty sure it's still ullaged. Yeah. It's self-ullaged there. It's kind of difficult. Flying without the stability assists with so much inertia, and I actually have to deal with momentum, is kind of a pain in the ass. So I really should remember the avionics, but I am doing it live. I do not care. All right, so we are now in orbit. Hooray! So what I am going to do now is plan a maneuver to reach the moon, which means I'm going to click here and just kind of start fiddling around until we get an encounter. So you can see here we have actually escaped Earth influence with this maneuver. So if I bring it down, I would like to bring the apogee to be roughly near the moon. And now it tells us the moon's position at the closest approach. But if I grab the maneuver, God damn it. If I grab the maneuver node and I just start to drag it around here, we get a maneuver node. We get an approach. If we look at the way we're going to approach the moon, we're basically going to come at it from below and get not very close to it. So I'm going to add a little bit of ascending node. And do I have the maneuver node editor? This would be helpful to observe what I'm doing. You can see here, this is the actual values that I am adding to the node. Yeah, no. Jesus. Can I please just select the maneuver node? So I am adding a little bit more of this to get us closer. And then I'm okay with coming in like this, right, from the South Pole. We could make that bigger. But I would really like to... I would really like to get fairly close to the moon, right? Like, that would be cool. On the other hand, we don't exactly have a ton of delta V, so maybe we just accept this. So what we're going to do is accept this maneuver. Can I point towards the maneuver node? Will it let me do that? I don't know if it's actually making inputs right now. We're going to accept this maneuver and try to get this encounter going and then try to get a very elliptical orbit around the moon. Which is not the most effective way to do this, for the record, but it is the way that we have. Do I have control of this vehicle? I am not sure if I have control of the vehicle. That is not ideal. But we are going to have to live with it. So what I can do here is click the Warp to Maneuver Node button to get us 3 minutes before the node. It is once again in nighttime, but you saw a brief glimpse of the ship over our planet during the day. We are actually fairly close now, so that's pretty sweet. Okay, Jesus Christ. What is this window? MacJeb, fuck off. Alarm clock, can you be literally anywhere else, please? Alright. If I'm pressing buttons, I am not losing Aerozine, so for some reason my thrusters are not on. Okay, these thrusters work, but these thrusters don't. I don't know why. Are they They're mounted to the decoupler. God damn it. Enable crossfade on that. Now it works. Yeah, cool. That would have been good to know earlier. All right, so now we're going to have the pilot, which is, I guess, Lillian in this case. Lillian is going to steer us so that we are pointing in the correct direction to fly towards the moon. Very cool. By the way, this MechJeb tool, it is pretty great. You can just click this button to execute the node, or it has automatic ascent or automatic landing tools, which I am not using because, making things harder on myself is the point of this video. Of course. So the unfortunate bit of this timing is that this maneuver node is near our apogee, which means we're going slower instead of being near our perigee. So we are spending a lot of energy moving the low point of our orbit up instead of moving the high point of our orbit up, which is somewhat unfortunate, but it is what it is. It is a maneuver that gets us to the moon. And actually, I don't know the burn duration of this maneuver. It is going to be long as hell. Oh shit, I'm going to start burning. Yeah, thanks. All right, this is firing up. And we are on the way to the moon. Kind of. I am actually somewhat concerned about the fact that you kind of want to start the burn halfway before the actual maneuver node, but because our thrust is so low, that is a long time. This is actually going to take a really long time, so I am going to use the time warp feature, namely physics warp, which makes the physics simulation go faster instead of the usual time warp, which puts the ship on rails. Just kind of, instead of simulating physics fully, it knows where it's going because of orbital mechanics and just moves you forward along that orbit. So no actual physical effects happen. There are cases where you can set time warp really high and move towards the planet so fast that it doesn't catch that you're getting close to it, and you just phase right through the planet. It's pretty cool. I do, by the way, really like the plume on these nuclear rockets. That purple color with the blue in it, that's very pretty to me. Actually, something I should show while we're waiting is, like, you see those Kerbals dancing around? You can, like, I mean, you can go here and you can have, you can take a crew report and see what they have to say about the situation. Um, I actually don't know how long that takes. It used to be instant. You can do that. You can also, look, we're inside of the Apollo command module that we have. Look at this. There's our friends. I don't remember their names. The only one I remember is Lillian, and I'm pretty sure I'm in control of Lillian, so that's Lillian in the center seat. I don't know the rest of them. Sorry. You can see down here, this is actually a seat that doesn't exist on the original Apollo, these two. But this is a Block 3 command module, not the Block 2 that actually flew. The Block 3 was planned for some future missions that got canceled because money. So, yeah, you can see how far ahead of the maneuver node we actually are in our orbit. So there is going to be some sort of correction required once we are in deep space to make an encounter happen. I am sure of it. And that is fine. But while we are out here, I should find, if I could, I distinctly remember adding deployable antennas to this thing. Did they do the thing where they deploy inside of course. Our antennas have deployed inside of the vehicle and they still work. Nifty. Where is it pointing? It is just pointing straight down. No, that's a lot of settings. Actually, I'm okay with straight down. I think the low gain antenna will be fine. And because we have crew on board, we don't need communications that badly. Like, we won't lose control of the ship if we drop out of communications. Ooh, we're exposed to extreme radiation because we're going through the Van Allen belt. Cool. I didn't know they added that. That's definitely realism overhaul for the record. Okay. So with 500 meters per second left in the tank, I'm actually going to cancel the maneuver, which they helpfully pause time for when we get low on fuel. I am going to cancel the maneuver so that I can take stock of the situation and basically see, do we make another maneuver on the next pass? Actually, what we should do really is this. So let's get rid of this guy. Fine. Fine. It detargeted the moon. Of course it did. Where are you? Where's the moon? There it is. Since this descending node is pretty high up, I should set a point here to kind of fix our inclination with it, because that should be fairly cheap here. I would like to get it within about half a degree. Yeah, that's good enough. So we're going to execute that maneuver. There you go. Now you can see there's Madagascar down below us. Very pretty. And here's our ship with the solar panels out and everything. This thing does have maneuver planner. There's somewhere here that you can have it show you the information on the maneuver node itself, like how long it's going to take to fly it. Because what I really want to know is how long does the burn take to correctly know when I have to start. But apparently I don't get to know, so that's fine. After doing some math to myself, I have decided that we are going to fire it when the node is in 30 seconds. Or rather, that's when we're going to start the engine, because it takes time to spool up. It actually takes a long time to spool up, for the record. 14 seconds. So, there we go. Honestly, maybe I should remove these big ullage motors, because I can just use these RCS thrusters for it. And I was a little bit off on this maneuver. I should have started igniting maybe at like 40 seconds, but it's fine. When you're in such a high orbit, when you're so far away and you're moving relatively slowly, a small change in burn time doesn't matter nearly as much because you don't make so much progress around your orbit, if that makes sense. 2, 1, close enough. So now our node is 0.1, perfect. Wow, look at how cool the graphics are on the radio signal. Look at that. That is the size of the cone for our radio antenna. So you can see it actually encircles the Earth from out here. So we have contact on the high gain directional antenna. And it also just looks neat. Like, not everything has to be for a purpose. Sometimes I just want to build an incredibly robust network of communication satellites because it looks awesome. And that's one of the beauties of a game like this, is that you are allowed to do things because they look cool. And for no other reason than that. Alright, I would think we can scoot it this way a little bit and hit our periapsis right about there. Alright, how does that orbit actually look out by the moon? I would say that that is pretty good. That is going to use a lot of power from the SPS. Actually, this is... Okay, we are going to have to burn 340 meters per second toward it and then do our transposition, docking, and extraction maneuver, which is kind of awesome, and I kind of may have built a lot of the spacecraft around trying to do that, because it's cool. But yeah. Basically, we're going to separate this stage, and then we're going to separate these two bits, flip the command module around, and dock it to the lander to take it with us. Which, yes, I did design after how Apollo did it, because it's cool. So what I'm going to do now is, this lasts about 2 minutes. So at about 1 minute and 15 seconds, I am going to start the process of igniting the engine so that we get all of the remaining fuel burned correctly on this maneuver node. And we'll have to do a third orbit to actually get it out there. This is one of the reasons I take lots of life support, because we've been in space for 8 hours and we're not doing very much. At this point, the Apollo program would be well on the way to the moon, but we are not, because we're dumb. You cannot tell me this is not pretty, that view of the Earth's atmosphere. Space is beautiful, and this game captures that very well. All right, 1 minute, 15 seconds coming up. We're going to ullage the fuel and then ignite the engine. And actually, since we're going to be dropping this stage, I'm going to keep burning. If I wanted to be really incredibly efficient, I could probably get some delta V out of just burning the remaining Aerozine in here. I don't think we get very much thrust out of doing that. Like, if I let go of this, the thrust to weight, our acceleration barely changes at all. It would go up by like 0.008 meters per second, so we won't get very much out of it, and it would take fucking forever, so I don't feel like doing it. But as long as we are here, we might as well burn off the Aerozine we brought with us. Theoretically, I don't remember if I mounted a control unit, an avionics unit, and an antenna on here. If we were doing things like real space programs, we would have mounted such things on this stage, and we would dispose of this stage either by pushing it into a solar orbit or into the sea, basically, using these RCS engines. Yeah, you can see these each deliver 4 kilonewtons. So together they deliver 32, roughly, and this engine delivers 300. So it delivers a tenth of the thrust of this thing. Yeah, we are accelerating at 300 millimeters per second. Our burn time is 29 years. I may have slightly provisioned Aerozine. I might be able to save a little bit of weight by removing this. This delta V number, I don't know where it's getting that. Yeah, no, not happening. Sorry. All right, so we are going to accelerate until we're in day. Just so I can see what I'm doing and so that you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Daylight. Let's let the sun get a little bit higher up. Very pretty. All right. Looking at this side, what we're going to do is... The fuck are these engines? Separate that. Do we actually have control of this probe? We do. So I'm gonna... Oh, we don't. I thought we did, but we actually don't somehow. It says I have control, but I am unable to actually use the engines. Because it has decided there is no fuel in the tank. Got it. Well, at least it's thrusting away. So, on the lander, we are going to enable stability assist just so it holds its position. And actually, can I check if these thrusters are enabled? I'm going to set that, and then we're going to shut it off again because I've realized we need to make sure these enable. It's kind of annoying that they don't enable on their own. So now it will hold its own position. And now this guy is going to set the docking port as its target, its own docking port as its control point, and we are going to start the procedure of... do I need to enable these two? Yes. I kind of don't like that those are staged, but cool, whatever. This thing also apparently needs crossfade, so we can use all of our thrusters. I do want to use lots of thrusters. Look at all this space debris going around, by the way. I want to use lots of thrusters so we have a very balanced center of mass. But now that we are pointing towards the docking point, it would actually be a little bit better if the sun was above us, but this is fine. I want to point us towards it and then get our vector actually aligned with it. So we are gently going to approach it. If we look in the cabin, I don't know if they modeled this properly, but this guy actually has this aperture where he is supposed to align this crosshair in the middle of the screen with the docking port, because you can see back there. And this is actually fairly pretty. There you go, I found that button. Look at that. Isn't that nifty? This is why I take so many pictures of this game. Also, I can't help but notice there's clouds now. I remember complaining about those on the main menu, but they're here again. Anyway, docking in real life is very slow. Because you travel at like 100 millimeters per second or less. And just very slowly approach the target. I don't have that kind of time. I actually don't know how far we are from the target. I'm used to having that data. There's some other mod that I don't currently have that gives you just like generic data instead of this kind of mechjeb dirt. Rendezvous info, maybe? This'll do. So I'd like to slow down, and you can see we're getting very close. Go back inside. You can see that we are now docked. And we are now attached, so... insufficient avionics now because we're 3 tons overweight. Are you kidding me? Are we actually in this situation where we are 3 tons overweight? Okay, fine. I can live with this. You know what? I will make it work. I'm going to make another burn to encounter the moon. Apparently from pretty far away. There you go. That looks pretty good. And we're going to do something clever here. Um, hmm. How do you undock these? There you go. Alright, I'm going to undock this. And since I have control of both of these things, I'm going to point this in the direction of the maneuver node. I am breaking my solar panels at the moment. Oh gosh. Stop putting me in control of that. I pushed this away with my solar panels. That is brilliant. And I'm going to dock this the other way. So I'm going to dock this guy with this guy. Because this is now pointing in generally the correct direction. And actually, I am going to have to do this again. I just want to get it more oriented. Because we are going to be doing some shenanigans here. You're going to see the brute force method of making things happen. So, oh gosh, hang on, let me roll this guy onto an appropriate... I want to roll this flat so I actually understand the coordinate system. And then no, cease. This is fine, trust me. Okay, we're going to do that, and then we're going to start burning up until we are roughly level with, until we are in line with the docking port. Because you can see the other guy here is pointing. He did not point successfully. So he is basically going to be pointing straight up. And once he is pointing in the correct direction, I am going to maneuver the other thing. Yes. I'm going to maneuver the other thing essentially directly over it. It's probably enough burning in that direction. And by coming in at the correct angle, we're going to get these two things at roughly pointing the right way at the maneuver. And then we're going to take advantage of being a few minutes early to the maneuver to do that whole process again. So that we can hopefully just light the engines and go. Still rising, we are. Look at that. That thing spinning away. And, oh god, I screwed up massively. It's fine. We're just going to have to do a little bit of engineering on this approach. I love the way that looks just tumbling back there, eclipsing Jupiter. Alright. Basically, I'm trying to orient us so that we are immediately over this guy. Docking ports do have a little bit of magnetism, so we don't have to be absolutely perfect. On our alignment, but we do want to be fairly close. Yeah, this feels pretty good. There's something spinning away, and that is not that is not really a good thing. I don't know what that thing is. Is that one of our? That's like a piece of our payload fairing. Jeez. Anyway, I want to point directly at it, going nice and slow so I can make sure we're doing things correctly. We can dock in the completely wrong direction. Or not. There we go. Now we're attached, pointing roughly towards the maneuver node. Another fixed at 3 tons of fucking avionics. Jesus. 47 minutes, 45 minutes. I want to warp like here. You can see we stay pretty close to the maneuver node, so actually maybe I don't need to get rid of this. I do want to control from here. So yeah, I think that's fine. Oh. I think I just accidentally extended the landing gear. My bad. I would like to enable SAS, but I am not allowed to until we lose 3 tons. Interesting. Nifty. Alright, so double check which engines are set, because I know this got activated at some point. This is active. This is not alleged correctly, but it has a 99% chance of igniting. And it has 50 tries. I like those odds. Fun fact, at 50-50 to the 50th power, you have a better chance of running through a solid wall than you do of winning 50 coin flips in a row. So, I'm content. I'm going to estimate we need maybe 4 minutes to do this, so at 2 minutes I'm going to light the engine. And we are hopefully going to lose enough fuel here that we can get control back and point in the correct direction. That is basically the Kerbal Space Program way here. And since I'm a lazy bastard, we're going to fast forward a minute and just ignite it a little bit early. Oh, seriously? Come on, you can do it. Seriously? You can't do it. Alright, fine. Back to pro gamer strats. You know how we ullage this engine? We back away from the node. Set this guy as target, set SAS to point at the target. Alright. We are going to dock without slowing down. So our fuel stays ullaged. Hello, I would like to dock, please. Oh crap, it's not working. This is bad. Emergency conditions. Yeah, this is not great. Actually, no. God damn it. See, this is so annoying sometimes because we bounced the hell off, so I have to do this whole procedure again, and I'm just executing the maneuver node this time. I don't care that we are late. I am not doing this again. Oops. Alright, now we need to burn this way quite heavily, and a little bit this way. Should maybe just point radial in. That would be helpful. A little bit like that. I'm doing the same procedure. I'm trying to align myself with the docking port. But now, knowing that this guy is pointing roughly in the direction of the maneuver node, I have to keep going back and forth because it forgets what type of SAS I'm trying to do in between switching, so... Alright. We are going in roughly the correct direction. I would like to go a little bit more this way. This is a lot easier to do during daytime. I think we've had enough this direction. This is actually too much this direction, but it's fine. Alright, this will work. I'm going to set this, make sure it's pointing at the maneuver node as closely as possible. One last time. Point at the target. Actually, I need to check, like, this is about 20 degrees above the horizon. Alright. So what I need to do is get this aligned like this. Oh yeah, this is wrong as hell. I would like to point out that this is like one of the most difficult things people talk about in Kerbal Space Program. Trying to dock two vessels together. And I am trying to do it in an extraordinarily difficult way. Alright, so this needs to be positioned like here. No, wrong way. It needs to be positioned way down here. It needs to be positioned way up here. See how I got it so right the first time and now it's just totally fucked? Because of the stupid avionics situation. So left to right, we're doing fairly bad, actually. Oh, too much. That doesn't help. I think we are at the correct... this way. Maybe a little bit more of this. This way. There we look pretty good. No. Shit. My buttons are rotated 90 degrees. I'm struggling. I should have just rotated this more. Okay, I would like to start getting closer. Because I've gotten this alignment pretty good. I'm going to take this opportunity to just rotate my fucking axes so I'm pointing in a direction where my buttons make sense. I could edit all of this down to a montage or something, but if you are hearing this, clearly I have not done that because I do not care and I do not respect your time. So take that. Please tell me this is still pointing roughly towards the maneuver. Thank you. Alright, that looks pretty good. Still my target, so... you know what? Yeah, I'm happy with that. So, we are once again going to try to keep this engine ullaged correctly. While we slowly bring it in for a dock. How far along the orbit are we? Oh, jeez. Well, we're doing it live. We are going to go until we actually get full control of the vehicle back, and then we're going to figure out how to fix the approach from there. That is the fun of it. Please actually attach. Thank you. And now we can ignite the engine. All right, so hopefully we lose 2 tons doing this. That was a pretty nice maneuver there to dock ullage so I can ignite the engine even though I don't have control to fire the RCS. It's kind of a stupid need. I definitely should add an avionics unit somewhere to fix this situation. But it worked for some reason. Yeah, you can see how far we're drifting, but we are about to get control back. What a mess. Because as soon as we get below 50 tons and we get control back, I will conduct a mission to fix this shit. Ooh, sunrise. Yay. Alright, we have control. So, now that we have fucked shit up again, how do I get my lunar encounter? There we go. We are currently going to hit the moon. I feel like that is probably not great. But you know what? There. Not even. Yeah, with this level of accuracy, who gives a shit? Alright, and brilliantly, that node is in 4 minutes. Why are we looking at shielding? Please stop. What a mess this is. So many problems with control. I don't even remember all the problems, honestly. I think a lot of them have to do with making sure these thrusters are mounted to tanks that can fly them and control and all sorts of little things that are you have to deal with frickin' Realism overhaul. Because Realism is difficult. Alright. Guesstimating based on the burn times here, this next burn is going to take about 4 minutes, which is going to deplete a shitload of the fuel remaining for the surface propulsion system, and I don't really like that. But what can we do? Luckily, the surface propulsion system was massively overpowered for the original Apollo mission, and we are basically flying the original Apollo configuration, which makes it hilarious that we can't actually control the official Apollo configuration by default. That's stupid. But that means that we should have plenty of fuel for my stupidity, assuming that I fly a good mission for the rest of it. So at this point, I'm just going to actually fuck waiting 30 seconds. I'm going to time accelerate. All right, now, just as before, I'll edge the thing so that we can get very stable and then ignite it. All right, and we're going to time accelerate again. Because I'm impatient, because we have been working on this for way longer than it should have taken, to be honest. I feel like we have wasted a lot of time on silly control problems and me remembering how to play the game. And this is probably a horrible video, and honestly, maybe at this point I won't edit it. It'll just be really funny that you have to sit through like a 4-hour long video. Or maybe, you know what, since I've been sitting here for 4 hours, I just realized maybe what I'll do is put a cut on it once we are on a good trajectory to the moon that I'm happy with. Or once we... Let's do this. Let's cut when we're in lunar orbit. I'll decide later if I want to make it multiple videos or not, and then I'm going to do a different video on the landing phase. Because we have almost been in space for a full day of in-game time. Look at that. Good enough. We have a lunar encounter. Stop. We have a lunar encounter. What we are going to do now is add a mid-course correction somewhere around here. And this is just going to try to bring us a little bit closer to the moon. Thanks to the power of our editor, we can actually type things in a reasonable fashion. Can I look at things from the moon's point of view? That would probably help. So clicking on the node, okay, yeah. Like a little burn just to get us within like 100,000 kilometers. That's an overshoot. Why am I doing it like this? There we go. Let's actually give it that much. That. All right, brilliant. Now SAS, point to it. Look at how small Earth is down there. And can we figure out which way the moon is? Probably not, because I'm incompetent. But well, if we're pointing mostly prograde and prograde is that way, so it should be to the right of prograde. Would theoretically be, is that the moon? I feel like it's not. Well, we can see Uranus. Anyway. Let's get basically just a few seconds before the node, because this is not going to take very long. Thanks. That'll work. So, ullage the thing. Fire the engine. And we will complete this burn using purely the RCS. It doesn't have to be perfect. And now we have a periapsis around the moon of about 100,000 kilometers. That's fine. So I am going to just warp here. Where is the moon? Should be actually, where is the sun? The sun is there, so it should be to the right of the sun. I believe we are down the moon's sphere of influence. There's the moon. Hi, moon. We are behind the moon. Cool. Wow, we could do a TV broadcast. That's fun. All right, now basically we are going way too fast to enter orbit of the moon. Actually, I could like put a maneuver here and guess how much we actually have to burn, but it's gonna be a good amount, but not a crazy amount. Then again, it will be about half of our remaining fuel. Not ideal. But it is what it is. So it being about half of our remaining fuel, I'm going to start the burn about 45 seconds before periapsis. So watching that number, or it's also this number actually, but for some reason I'll eat this number better because it's in a bigger pane. Don't judge me. And there we go. Once again, stabilize the propellant, ignite the engine. And I'm basically going to try to get us in as circular an orbit as we can. We're basically slowing down so we don't go flying past and escape the moon. And we are going to try and get a nice little circular motion going. We could run some experiments. Some mass spectrometry. Detect some meteorites. Oh yeah. You want to see the, well, I guess we can just turn that on. Yeah, you want to see the pressure. There's not very much air pressure out here at the moon. Yeah, that science equipment is not very useful, but it's cool. Oh, oops. Look, we are now entering lunar orbit. Soon. This thing thinks we're in lunar orbit, the game doesn't. There you go. We're now orbiting the moon. Very, very high above the moon, but we're going to bring that down nice and circular. Basically, I want to make it really easy for myself to actually come back and rendezvous with this thing. Although even we're at an angle, so I might have to cheat and use at least a little bit of help from the automation. But that's a topic for a later time because I am not going to continue playing at this point. I have lost my youthful skills of being able to play video games for 8 hours at a time. The circularization burn is actually kind of scary. I'm genuinely not sure if we're going to have enough fuel to get back home at this point. Of course, it is a Kerbal Space Program tradition to launch rescue missions for your first moon landing, so I'm not scared of having to fulfill that if you make me actually complete the mission and bring people home. Alternatively, I mean, I'm okay with cheating. Just to record video footage of what the game looks like, because ultimately that is the idea. Yeah, I badly underestimated this burn. You know what? That's enough. That's good. That's fine. All right. We are now officially in orbit of the moon, so I'm going to leave it here for the time being. If you're interested and want me to keep doing things for your entertainment, say the words.